A very interesting thing occurred to me. I was doing a delivery at a Dollar General, and Ann Russell was the person there. She's real pretty, and I like her, and she's very kinky and sexual, and she always implies about sex and stuff like that, and mentions sex, but, you know, she's still sort of, I don't know how to explain her. She's seemingly immature, but it's only because she's so timid. I can't picture her being not timid, but it's probably because she's at work and has to hold back. But anyway, I said to her, if you could do anything right now, you know, not being here, what would it be? And she said, probably something inappropriate. And like, what does inappropriate mean? Inappropriate because sex is inappropriate, and that's what she means, because, you know, that's just what she meant. And how is sex inappropriate? I mean, I'm not saying pull your pants down and do it in the middle of a grocery store, you know? Like, do it with taste in just in a place where it makes sense to do it. But the subject of it itself shouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, honestly, nudity shouldn't be that big of a deal. It shouldn't be a deal at all. We all have a body. So it's like weird that we judge each other on bodies. I mean, yes, bigger, smaller, fatter, skinnier, whatever. But still, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, because it isn't. It's all just made up. It's all people say that, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. And it's probably because when you have sexual energy and you're full of full of that testosterone energy, like, it's the best you feel. Like, when else do you feel that good? Like, with me, I've never looked at sex as being like a perverted thing, and people think I'm perverted because I've had sex with a lot of people, but I'm not perverted at all. In fact, I'm the opposite. I only want to please people and be in an intimate moment where we're together, like that feeling of togetherness and oneness. And like, I do believe that, and I've never thought differently in the sex way, but I mean, now I get why I thought that way. But anyway, it's just sort of ironic when you ask somebody what they want to do, that they usually really don't know. And she said probably something inappropriate, so she really never gave me an answer. But then we sort of went off of that, and I started thinking to myself, like, you know, like, what makes somebody important? You know, I have this vibe from Anne from the very first day I walked by her, and it's been 3 years. So I mean, like, she's one of those people, but not like somebody that I'm in love or interested in like that, because I love everybody. I'm in love with everything, so there's no one person that I think is more important. But with her, it's more like, you know, I interact with her on a regular basis, and she's sweet and kind to me. At least she was, and then she became store manager, and she stopped being so nice, which was really weird because I didn't do anything different. She just had more authority, which is also an illusion. Authority is an illusion. Nobody has authority. They just might have a gun, and they may have a license to shoot it. It's weird. And like, they may have a PhD or a whatever, but they don't have more authority. It's all an illusion. Anyway, so then it got me to think into their child. So I think about Ann, and I'm like, what makes her stay with her boyfriend? Like, she flirts with me, she says she likes me, she'd like to go out with me sometime, but we can't because she has a boyfriend. Which I'm not trying to be in that little hubbub anyway, but this is stuff from before. Like, now I see it as just a joke anyway, because I see boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, those titles, I said, it's just a joke. They're just words. They're just nothing. They don't mean anything to me. Because a person, just because you give them a title, doesn't mean anything. With a little side note that I can use to point out that fact. I saw my music teacher again today in Dollar General, and his name is Mr. Turley. And what's funny is, Mr. Turley is actually really awesome. I liked him. I loved him in school. He was awesome. But, you know, now he's older, sort of looks the same, just a lot older, liver spots on his bald head and stuff like that. And, like, I remember thinking, because I saw him, like, a year ago or so, and I remember saying, Mr. Turley, and he's like, yeah, and he seemed, like, down and depressed, and I was thinking, like, why is he depressed? And then I thought to myself, like, well, because he's an adult, and when last time I'd seen him, I was, like, in elementary or middle school. I think it was elementary, honestly. So I myself thought, like, I realized that at one point in your life, like, even our kids right now, my kids even, don't really think that deeply about stuff, so that, like, say, Mr. Turley, the music teacher, they might think that he has no other life besides music. You know, like me. Like, when I was a kid, like, Mr. Turley was the music teacher, and when I saw him, it almost instantly, like, there was nothing else to do with him but music. Like, he has no life, he's just a music teacher. But, of course, I see things differently now, but it's sort of weird how at one point in our lives we think of things that way, and that we're so ignorant to what's going on around us that we think that way. That brings me back to her kid thing. I didn't mean to make it sound weird by stopping there, but she's dating this dude, Derek or something like that. And I'm sure he's a nice guy, whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to compare. I'm not trying to say I'm better. I'm not trying to say I'm worse, anything. But I'm here, and he's here. So there's no reason to pick between people. And I'm not trying to argue over a girl or fight over a girl, because nobody's worth fighting over. Here's another saying I have. Nothing's worth fighting over, but everything's worth fighting for. There's a difference. There's a moral value of defending and honoring than just wanting it to be yours or showing them that they're important to you. That's ridiculous. Anyway, so I thought about the idea of how I'm there all the time. And she totally ignores me sometimes when she's like putting prices on stuff. Because, oh, it's so important to do your job and put prices on a shelf. That it means nothing to nobody. Nothing. It all means nothing. So then I think to myself, like, I'm a human being, and she used to like me, but I don't see how it just disappeared. But now she's all worried about her job. That's got her worried about her job, so she can't take the time to talk to me. So I thought to myself, like, isn't that sort of weird that a living, breathing person who could be the greatest thing in her life is right in front of her, and she doesn't even realize it. And when I say that, I'm not saying that I'm the greatest thing in her life, but she could have a lot of great times with me, or anyone, any person that I meet at all could have a lot of great times with me. I'm not saying just her. But let's take her daughter, for instance, my kids, for instance. Anyone who has a kid, don't you love your kid? I mean, you've gone through some shit because of them. You've had to put up with their messes, their problems, their fights and arguments, their learning as they grow, things that you're going to run into. And no matter what, you love them. You wouldn't take that away. You wouldn't change that, okay? But if that was never there, you wouldn't know it was there. So the fact that I have to point out about relationships is people have a relationship, and yes, it's going good. It's going great. Well, go out with another guy or go out with another girl and see how that feels. And if it's great, then great. And go home and tell your person you're in a relationship with that it was great and you had a great time. And that there's no reason to think that only one person can be great, because if you don't have it, you don't know. And once you have it, you build a relationship to it. Like if you don't have a kid, you don't know. Once you have a kid, you either build a relationship to it, or you're a piece of crap and you avoid it. Well, I'm not saying piece of crap. Maybe that wasn't your thing to do. And in my human opinion, if you're going to have kids, you should take care of them. So, I mean, I don't mean that in a personal sense. I mean that in a spiritual sense, you're still a beautiful human being. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I'm about to get to my next stop. Peace.